Hi guys, and welcome to another quick update, quick, what is she going to read this August? The list is kind of comprehensible. I think you can overlook it nicely because I do actually have to finish 2 papers in August, and I have a third one coming up in September, which I do want to start on because I will be spending a bit of time with some friends as well during the months where I don't have to go to university actually. So, you know what, let's just jump right into these books and see what I'm going to be reading, because I honestly forgot as well. I made a list and then I completely forgot the contents of that list. So let's jump right ahead into a reread that I have already started, but that I will probably be continuing up into August, and that would be Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid. I am reading this for university because I will be writing a paper on it, specifically on food and drink being represented in Juniper and Thorn. As you can see, we've already started having the shit out of it because we need to. I really like this book. It's a gothic fairy tale retelling of the fairy tale The Juniper Tree. It's fantastic. Do look up trigger warnings before you get into this book though. Like, this is one of the few books on this pile that I know anything about, and it's a kicker. It hits really hard, let's just say it like that. Okay, moving on. So, 2 that I picked from my pile of German books that I have, which I've got like for really cheap somewhere, because we need to start making a dent in them. What I try to do with these is I try to give them a chance, and if I don't like them 2 to 3 chapters in, if they don't grab my attention, I will just simply throw them out, because most of them are damaged copies or something that I got as a present, and I do not have the shelf space to keep all of these books. The first one is a translation of Bookman by Levi Tidar. I believe the English title is literally just The Bookman, which was published in 2010 by Angry Robot in Nottingham. The German title has like a subtitle which is called Das ewige Empire. I don't know why they didn't translate Empire, because there is a German word for it. Okay. Which means the Eternal Empire. And it's apparently book 1 in a series. I have no idea about this, except the only thing I know is that it's like steampunk vibes. And our main character is literally named Orphan. Sure, that's not a telling name whatsoever, but you know, here we are. That's what it looks like. It looks pretty cool. I got it for really cheap, and I chose it for, you know, the pile of books that I've got in a similar fashion. And the second one is called Grey by Leonie Swan, which it's a crime novel, and it's about a parrot. This is him, his name is Grey, and he's solving a murder because he is the parrot of a professor at the Cambridge University. His name is Dr. Augustus Huff. Love that name. And apparently one of his students died a horrible death, but everyone is saying that it was an accident, and Dr. Augustus Huff is sure that it was not an accident but actual murder, and so he and his parrot Grey are trying to solve the case. I've read Glenkill by Leonie Swan and Loup-Garou, which are 2 books in a series about sheep solving a murder. It's fantastic. I love these books very much. I think they're being translated into English. I have no idea though, so I would have to look that up. But Leonie Swan is a German author, so, you know. I got this as a birthday present years ago. I think at least 2, if not 3 years ago, so it's time to crack this bad boy open, I guess. So there we have it. And now we're getting to the ones that I planned a bit more thoroughly. I think there's one more reread, and you know what, we'll just jump right in with that one, shall we? My reread, the other reread, which is a massive baby, would be The Witchwood Crown by Tat Williams, which is the first book in the Last King of Ostenard series. It's the second series after his Memory, Sorrow and Thorn series, also said, as the title suggests, in his fantastical world of Ostenard. I believe it's like 30 years after the main series, if I remember correctly. He wanted it to be a trilogy. Once more, it has not worked. There's a whole joke to be made there. It's very funny. He always tries to sell us that he's going to write a trilogy, and it never happens. It's always 4 books. So he tried, he failed, it's fine, we still love him anyway. And I read the first book back when the only one out was the first book from the new series, Last King of Osternaut. And I know that I really liked it. I remember absolutely nothing of it because it's been a while. And then book 2 came out and book 3 came out relatively recently. I have both of them on my shelves. And I was like, you know what? We're diving back into the series. We are rereading the series so we can prepare for book 4, the final one in the Last King of Osternaut series, coming out, I believe, either the end of this year or somewhere in the middle of next year, something like that. So, you know, what better time to catch up to the series once more than start now, especially because it's massive. It has 700 pages and like a pretty small print, so, you know, we might want to start get going. Anyway, apart from that, I believe everything else is new to me. It should be. Please don't fall. Right, so the next one is This Dark Endeavour by Kenneth Opwell, which is the first in a duology, I believe, which is a somewhat retelling of Frankenstein. It's told from the perspective of 16-year-old Victor Frankenstein, who has a twin brother named Conrad, and his twin brother, I believe, dies, and then he tries to resurrect him, which is the entire reason why the monster of Frankenstein is born. So basically, we take the premise of Frankenstein and we kind of model it a bit differently. As you can see, this is also pretty short and the font is like really big. I believe this is YA, or at least that's what it's marketed as, which we don't really mind, and it has like somewhat 300 pages, a bit less than that. So I think this is going to be a fast read, apart from the fact that I want to tap the shit out of it because I have a project with a friend that has something to do with Frankenstein retellings, and so I kind of want to read this, not precisely as I would like a book for fun, but more like I would read a book for university purposes, I suppose. But yeah, I know almost nothing about this. I only know that I've read the Silver Wing, is it a trilogy? I think it's a trilogy or series by Kenneth Opwell approximately 15 times when I was younger. It was my Warrior Cats moment, okay? Silver Wing is about Silver Wing and he's a bat. It's fantastic. If you haven't read it yet, please check it out. It's amazing. Anyway, so I know the author, but I have never picked up This Dark Endeavour. I don't really know what it's about, apart from what it says on the back, which is a lot because, like, once more, the back is just like a massive amount of text. We don't need to talk about that. But yeah, that's all about This Dark Endeavour. We'll see what I like about it and what I don't. Right. Next one, please don't fall. Going Strong. This is actually the one that I'm looking forward to the most because a certain friend, and I'm not looking at anyone here in particular, Sarah, a certain friend has forbidden me from picking up this book too early because she's doing a read-along of the trilogy until the 3rd book comes out, which coincidentally is at the end or second half of August, and that would be the 2nd book in the Rook and Rose trilogy by M.A. Carrick, The Liar's Knot. Look, it's absolutely stunning. It's set in a kind of like Venice-inspired-ish world. It's fantastic. The writing style is amazing. The characters are amazing. I cannot wait to see some of my favourite pathetic little meow meows again in the 2nd book. It's absolutely beautiful. I keep on showing the cover because it's just gorgeous. I love it so much. Masks actually also play like somewhat of an important role in this world that M.A. Carrick have created. By the way, it's an author duo, it's 2 authors. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for The Liar's Knot. The only reason I haven't started it yet is because Sarah will look at me very, very disappointedly if I do, so let's see how long that holds. But anyway, it's a planned book for August. I'm really, really excited, and I will like it, but if I don't, I will be incredibly inconsolable. Next, moving on. So this one I've had for a while as well, and I've heard really amazing things about another book by the same author, but I was like, listen, I can't buy another book by the same author without having read the first one and like at least checking out if I like the writing style or not, and that would be The Vanished Birds by Simon Gimenius. The book that I've heard so many great things about is, I believe, The Spear That Cuts Through Water, again by Simon Gimenius. I know almost nothing about this. I know that it's sci-fi, I know that it's some kind of queer, sapphic, maybe? yeah, it's pretty. I love the color scheme. I'm really excited to read this, and should I like it even remotely as much as I hope I will definitely buy The Spear Who Cuts Through Water, and I will try that one out as well. But I need to stop buying books without knowing if I actually enjoy them or not. So yeah, this is probably going to be the sci-fi read I have in the month of August. I think that's more or less it. Right, you know what, I'm just gonna take all of them out here. There we go, okay. So the next one is a classic that I've been meaning to read for a while now. I actually wanted to read it in June, and then I did not have the time. And I didn't, and that would be Maurice by E.M. Forster, in the nice Penguin Classics edition that I have it in. Look at it, it's so incredibly depressing. I love these editions, but they look so incredibly sad, especially this one. Anyway, so the special, quote-unquote special thing about Maurice is that E.M. Forster actually completed it in 1914, but it was not published up until after his death in 1970, so almost 60 years after it was actually published, not published, written and completed. One of the reasons, or speculated reasons for that, is because Maurice is gay. It's a queer story of the time, and E.M. Forster himself was also allegedly gay. And he was very afraid what publishing this book was going to mean for his continued life and for his continued safety, actually. So a lot of people consider Maurice to be a very important classic when it comes to gay literature and when it comes to gay history, because it was written and then subsequently published during very different time periods. Especially also to take into consideration the fact that the author allegedly did not feel safe enough to publish it, or at least that's, if I remember correctly, that's like the most common thought process behind this, as in what people assume E.M. Forster thought about before publishing it. Which is actually very interesting because he published another book which is called The Passage to India, where a lot of people read the relationship between two men as incredibly queer and not just, I believe, the relationship of mentor and mentee. There's also Passage to India is not entirely unproblematic. It's incredibly steeped in colonialist history. It's about this English professor and doctor who has contact with an Indian doctor, and there's this whole theme of the Indian doctor being very subservient and trying very hard to appeal to his white English colleague in a way, with by making the relationship less of two colleagues seeing eye to eye and more seemingly like the Indian doctor is very much afraid of appearing wrongly to the English doctor. And a lot of people have read the relationship between these two guys as incredibly queer, so Maurice is basically just a step up from that, but it's very significant that A Passage to India was essentially published when it was written, whereas Maurice was held back from publication almost 60 years. So yes, I've been meaning to read this book for a while now. I will just hold myself accountable and now read it in August, because it's really not that long. It's like 220 pages, but also it's a classic book, and classical literature usually takes me a bit longer to read, so, you know, we will see, but I do intend on reading it in August. Yay. The next one is also actually a classic book, and that would be The Awakening by Kate Chopin in the beautiful Penguin English Library edition. I'm collecting these, by the way. I have a few of them. Might make a video on them at some point, maybe when I've read almost all of them, because I definitely have not. It's a selection of short stories, including the novella called The Awakening, which gave the book its title, and it's all about the sexual frustration of women, which apparently the stories, especially The Awakening when published, made people very angry and upset. So, there's that. All of these are, if I remember correctly, set in her home state of Louisiana, and sometimes also beyond that. And like all of these tales talk about female relationships, pleasurable relationships, and the sexual relationships of women. You need to know for the outrage thing to really sink in. This was published in the 19th century, so, you know. and since my battery is blinking, I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. We have a short story collection from the BBC National Short Story Award 2022. I bought it because there's jellyfish on it and it's beautiful, so we're going to be reading this. It's really cute and small. And we're going to be reading a German translation of a Russian fantasy novel, which I have from a friend. I've had this for a while, and I have no excuse. I need to be picking this up pronto. So yes, it's called The Stranger, and the title of the series is The Echo Labyrinth. So we will see what I think of this one. I will try and keep you guys updated on the books as I read them or after I've read them, and we will see how that goes in the lovely month of August.